Ohai. The Second Kingdom of Cambodia. The state in Southeast Asia, in the south of the peninsula of Indochina, with the capital of Phnom Penh. The area -181,000 km. The population, more than 16 million people. 16,926,984 by data for 2020. Over 97% Khmers. Since 1993, constitutional monarchy, the head of state, the king. Legislature, two-chamber parliament. National Assembly and the Senate. In the east borders on Vietnam, in the north, on Laos, in the northwest, on Thailand. Cambodia, the name of the country of Khmers borrowed from Sanskrit in connection with domination of Hinduism and Buddhism. In 1975-1989 at the translation of the name on foreign languages the option, closer to the original Khmer name, Kampuchea or Kampuchea was used. The Khmer. Kampuchea. Official names of the country after finding of independence were the Kingdom of Cambodia, 1953, 1970 and since 1993. The Khmer Republic, 1970, 1975, the mode of bosoms of Noel. Democratic Kampuchea, 1975-1979, regime of the Khmer Rouge of Pol Pot. The People's Republic Kampuchea, 1979-1989, regime of allies of Vietnam. The State of Cambodia, 1989-1993, the authorities of the Union. This state in the territory of Cambodia arose at the beginning of our era. It occupied considerably the large territory than the present Cambodian state. The most ancient state in the territory of modern Cambodia was Funan or Baton. The I-6 centuries, in which the Buddhism began to extend in the 6-8 centuries of her earth-occupied channel, and in the 9-13 centuries, the Angkorsky Empire or Kambodscha, the largest state of Southeast Asia. In the 14-19 centuries, Siamese troops repeatedly interfered in the weakened and politically friable Cambodia. According to a plan of one or several participants of Wikipedia, the special section has to be at this place. You can help the project having written this section. This mark is established on November 29, 2017. Colonial period. Protectorate Cambodia as a part of the Indochina Union. In 1863 France imposed to the Kingdom of Cambodia the Contract on Protectorate. Under the Contract of 1884 Cambodia actually colony of France. From 1942 to 1945 it was occupied by the Japanese Empire. In 1953 Cambodia gained independence. Since the end of the 1960th on 1975 in the country there was a civil war with which northern Vietnam, the southern Vietnam and the USA actively interfered. Forces of Pho in northern Vietnam created in east regions of the country network of base camps and warehouses where they receded after each serious defeat in the southern Vietnam. In 1966 Prince Sihanouk concluded with China supporting northern Vietnam in war the agreement on presence of the North Vietnamese troops in Cambodia and use of seaport Sihanoukville for delivery of military materials to them that was violation of the neutrality of the country. The way on which supply of communistic forces through Cambodia was carried out received the name Sihanouk's track. In 1970 there was a revolution as a result of which the General Lon Nol came to the power and I proclaimed creation of the Khmer Republic. The same year, for support of the government Lon of Nol, who developed fighting of the minding Cambodian communists, the Khmer Rouge, the United States Armed Forces and the Southern Vietnam made invasion into Cambodia. In 1975, having won civil war, the Khmer Rouge led by Pol Pot came to the power. The course towards creation of agrarian socialism, which turned back in practice genocide of own people, was imposed to the country. Peasants, citizens, the intellectuals, Buddhists, ethnic minorities, just superfluous. By various estimates, from 1 to 3 million residents of the country, which was called Democratic Kampuchea, at this time were destroyed. In 1973, in the areas controlled by the Khmer Rouge, revolts of the population and the military personnel who supported them, and in the provinces of Ratanakiri and Katkong, revolts of ethnic minorities began. In September 1975, the revolt in the province of Siem Reap. In January 1976, a mutiny headed by the Minister of Information Hu Nim. In 1977, in a division to which protection of Phnom Penh was assigned, took place. The deputy chief of the General Staff Charge was shot. 3 other heads of a revolt are alive, burned at Capitol Stadium. Approximately then 2 counties in the province of Kampong Cham which performance was suppressed rose, including, by means of aviation bombings, and the plot in Phnom Penh was opened. In 1978 took place of a revolt in the provinces of Kratik. April 1978. Sveriang, Krivang and Kampong Cham. All 3 in May 1978. In 1978 national economy was completely exhausted, and Pol Pot started aggression against Vietnam. However, big groups of the Khmer Rouge, dissatisfied with repressions, at once began to come over to the side of Vietnamese practically. In December 1978, the United Front of National Rescue of Kampuchea, UNRC, which united the pro-Vietnamese and anti-Pol Potovsky forces, was created. Ken Sovan, Chen Shi and Kang Surin, and also Kyo Chand and Chi So, became leaders of ENSC. All of them a long time lived in Vietnam and enjoyed absolute confidence in the country leaders. Before the build of a revolt and heads of guerrilla group Tenith Zone of Kampuchea, the former commander of a division of Kampuchean Army Hein Samrin and the former secretary of Party Committee of the 20th District of East Zone Jisim joined this group, passed from ranks of the Khmer Rouge in 1976-1977. In particular, the former deputy commander of a regiment of Kampuchean Army Hun Sen, who well proved during fighting of January 1978. And also, Hein Samrin became the head of ENSC, and Chi Sim his deputy. Ken Sovan headed the Commission of Party Construction of the revived National Revolutionary Party of Cambodia, ARP, later transformed to the Central Committee. In 1979, the Vietnamese troops overthrew regime of the Khmer Rouge. The country was renamed into the People's Republic Kampuchea. The Union and a number of the countries didn't recognize the new government of Cambodia, having declared him the puppet of Vietnam. Final withdrawal of the Vietnamese troops from Cambodia happened in 1989, but the civil war in the country continued after that still some time. Secret support to the Khmer Rouge was given by China, which saw in them a counterbalance to influence of Vietnam. The Khmer Rouge controlled areas, border with Thailand, and periodically made sorties far inland. The Polpatovsky Party of Democratic Kampuchea, the westernized National Front of Release of the Khmer People of the ex-Prime Minister Sun San and party of supporters of Prince Sihanouk of Hun Sen Pak created the coalition government of Democratic Kampuchea. This anti-Vietnamese coalition conducted armed struggle with the Mode Hein Samrina. She had the international recognition and presented Kampuchea to the Union. Due to the continuing political crisis, the new leader, Prime Minister of Cambodia Hun Sen, who gradually pushed aside pro-Vietnamese Hein Samrina, agreed to mediation of the Union. In 1989, the constitutional changes transformed ERIC to the state of Cambodia. The decision on restoration of the monarchy, return of the King Sihanouk and carrying out free elections was made. On September 24, 1993, the Kingdom of Cambodia was restored. The Union, represented by the temporary body, recognized the new state. After the 4-year period of formal division of the power in July 1997, Hun Sen carried out the actual coup d'état and established autocratic board. On October 7, 2004, the King Norodom Sihanouk abdicated. On October 14, 2004, Royal Council of Cambodia, according to the recommendation of his elder brother, Prince Ranariddh, the new King Norodom Sihamoni is proclaimed. However, actually the power in the country belongs to the Prime Minister Hun Sen. On November 24, 2000, the anti-communist insurgent organization Fighters for Freedom of Cambodia, led by Yusit Chohun, made an unsuccessful attempt of the armed Hun Sen's overthrow. In 2007, practically all Bailing leaders of the Khmer Rouge were arrested, and now are under examination for attraction to tribunal. On July 28, 2013, in Cambodia, the regular parliamentary elections took place. It was announced a victory of the ruling People's Party, but the opposition party of National Rescue of Cambodia achieved outstanding success, having received nearly 45% of votes. The opposition didn't recognize vote results, having declared them counterfeited. From July 2013 to July 2014, Phnom Penh was captured by Massachusetts anti-government protests. Cambodia is located in Southeast Asia, in the southern part of the peninsula of Indochina. Borders on Vietnam. In the east, Laos. In the northeast, and Thailand. In the north and the northwest. In the south and the southwest, it is washed by waters of the Gulf of Thailand. Extent of borders is: with Vietnam -1228 km, with Thailand -803 km, with Laos -541 km. Coastline length -443 km. The area of the state is 181,040 km. The largest island of the country, Kong, 100 km. The territory of the country is in several accurately expressed geographical regions. The most part of Cambodia, about 75%, is presented by the basin of the Lake Tonle Sap and the lowland of the Mekong River. These flat areas are framed with ridges, mountains Craven. In the southwest, ridges Elephant. In the south, and Dang Brick. In the north, heights in the northeast of the country merge with the central uplands of Vietnam. The basin of Tonle Sap and Mekong connect to plains of the central Thailand in the west, and to the Vietnamese delta of Mekong in the southeast. Besides, the valley of Mekong separates Ridge Elephant from heights of the northeast. Mountains Craven are located in the direction from the northwest on the southeast, reach heights more than 1500 m. The highest point of Cambodia, Mount Oral, is in east part of the ridge and makes 1813 m above sea level. Ridge Elephant continuation of Mountains Craven serves farther on the southeast, heights are from 500 to 1000 m. To the southwest from these two mountain systems there is a narrow coastal plain Kampong Ganje adjoining the Gulf of Thailand. Low Ridge Dangrik serves as northern border of the pool Tonle Sap and passes on border with Thailand. Average heights are only about 500 m and the highest point exceeds 750 m above sea level. To the north from the ridge there is a Korat Plateau occupying the northeast of Thailand. Except for small rivers in the southwest of the country, the most part of the rivers of Cambodia belongs to the basin of the Lake Tonle Sap and the Mekong River. Mountains Craven and Dangrik serve as watersheds. Cambodia possesses the considerable site of Mekong. From the Laotian border to the town of Kratie the river flows on the south, then turns on the southwest, and from Phnom Penh flows already on the southeast up to confluence with the South China Sea. The waterway to the Lake Tonle Sap has seasonal nature. During the rainy season of water of the river Tonle Sap flowing from the lake to Mekong turn back, therefore the area of the lake increases several times. Annual floods of Tonle Sap lead to bogging of extensive territories around the lake. Climate of Cambodia as well as the climate of other countries of Southeast Asia strongly depends on monsoons. Temperatures in all territory of the central flat part of the country are quite similar and are characterized by only rather small variations from average annual temperature of 25 C. The maximum temperatures, it is above 32 C, though at once before a rainy season they often exceed 38 C. The minimum temperatures seldom fall below 10 C. The coldest month, January, and the warmest, April. The tropical cyclones which are often falling upon the coast of Vietnam extremely seldom get on the territory of Cambodia. The average annual amount of precipitation in the central regions of the country makes from 1000 to 1500 m. The most part drops out during action of a summer monsoon. Mountainous areas of the south of the country and the coast of the Gulf of Thailand receive the bigger amount of precipitation is considerable, up to 50-100 m a year. Many rainfall receives also extreme southeast of the country. The northern regions of Cambodia, the most droughty. Wildlife of Cambodia differs in a variety. In the territory of the country 212 species of mammals, 536 bird species, 240 species of reptiles and 850 species of freshwater fishes are found. The greatest biodiversity characterizes the area of the Lake Tonle Sap where the unique biospheric reserve Tonle Sap is located. Other key habitats of types include the dry woods in the northeast and the east of the country and also the area of Mountains Craven. In the southwest of Cambodia, on the coast of the Gulf of Thailand there is a national park Botam Sakar occupying the territory of 1834 km. Level of deforestation of Cambodia is one of the highest in the world. So the share of virgin forests, which covered more than 70% of the territory of the country in 1969, was reduced to only 3.1% by 2007. In 2012, the woods of various degree of density covered 57.4% of the territory of Cambodia, minus 10.2 million hectares. Since 2010, deforestation in Cambodia slowed down a little and makes 1.3% a year. As of 2020, the population of the country makes 16,926,984 people, over 97% from them Khmers. The rest is presented mainly by Tiama Vietnamese, Chinese and Mountain Khmers. Increase in population is about 1.4% for 2020. Gender structure: 950 men on 1,000 women. Average life expectancy makes 65.9 years. 63.4 years at men and 68.6 years at women. Urban population as of 2020, 24.2%. Literacy level for 2018: 80.5%. 86.5% of men and 75% of women. The largest cities of Cambodia: Phnom Penh, 2,234,566 man. Battambang, Cardman, Siem Reap, 171,800 man. Sihanoukville, Cardman, Phuket, 89549 man. About 96% of the population of the country speak Khmer, which belongs to Austroasiatic language family and is the only official language of Cambodia. As the second language as heritage of colonial times, French is widespread, however its prevalence was sharply reduced recently. French is used as education language at many schools and the universities, and also, very restrictedly, the government of the country. Besides, this language is remembered by many elderly Cambodians. In the last decades, the most attractive and learned foreign languages became English and Chinese. Are widespread as well languages of ethnic minorities of the country. Chamsky and Chinese dialects, Vietnamese, Laotian, Thai, etc. Speak the mountain people own languages. Eid, Staying Time, Samra and Kui. The Buddhism is professed by 97.9% of the population. Islam minus 1.1%. Christianity minus 0.5%. Other religions minus 0.6%. The direction Buddhism Theravada is the state religion of Cambodia. Through the whole country there are about 4,390 temples. Traditions and everyday life of an overwhelming part of the population are closely connected with the Buddhism. The majority of monasteries in the country belong to monastic order of Makanaké. The less large used special royal protection, but more influential elite reformist toward Kamyutnake. In 1975, with coming to power of the regime of the Khmer Rouge, the ban which remained up to 1979 was imposed on departure of all religious cults. Nevertheless, since those times the Buddhism endured revival, again having taken strong positions. The Amar adherents of Islam, besides Muslims, is the small Malayan community. Today in Cambodia more than card Muslims, the most part from them live in the province Kampong Cham. The Vietnamese minority traditionally includes also Catholics and Cao Dai followers. Adhering to syncretic religion Cao Dai. More to specify, 1% of Cambodians profess Christianity, mainly Catholicism. Among the Cambodian Chinese, the direction Buddhism a Mahayana is widespread and mixed with traditional Chinese exercises, Taoism and Confucianism. The Ministry of Education, Youth Affairs and Sports is responsible for development of national policy and directives in the field of education. The Cambodian education system is substantially decentralized, including 3 levels of management: central, regional, provincial, and district. The Constitution of the country proclaims free compulsory education within 9 years, guaranteeing the general right for basic education. Traditionally, education in Cambodia was provided with Buddhist monasteries which gave the chance of education only to boys. During regime of the Khmer Rouge, education in Cambodia met serious difficulties which led to regress in this area. The modern education system continues to face a set of problems, however considerable improvements are noticeable in recent years. In recent years, considerable improvements in the field of healthcare are noticeable, though here still there is a set of problems. As of 2020, average life expectancy in the country made 63.4 years for men and 68.6 years for women. That is significantly higher than indicators of 1999, 49.8 and 46. 8 years for men and women respectively. The royal government of Cambodia plans improvements in healthcare by increase in knowledge of the population of HIV, malaria and other diseases. Level of infantile mortality decreased from 27 on 1,000 been born live in 2000 up to 18 for 1,000 in 2014. During the same period, the death rate among children is younger than 5 years decreased from 54 to 35 on 1,000 been born live. The worst medical figures are noted in the province of Ratanakiri, where 22.9% of children die aged up to 5 years. Also, here the highest levels of maternal mortality and malnutrition in the country. All these data are explained by remoteness of the province, backwardness of infrastructure, poverty, lack of access of the population to a considerable part to clear water and other factors. Due to the development of the country by an important question, there is a problem of internet connection. Access to Wi-Fi to the internet is available in many cafes, bars, restaurants and at gas stations. Nevertheless, despite distribution, wire ADSL and the fiber optical internet in Cambodia is much more expensive than in the majority of the developed countries. So, connection of 2M can cost $95 a month. In this regard, the wireless internet in 3G networks and WiMAX, which here usually significantly the cheapest way and not strongly differ on speed, was widely adopted. Operators predict gradual increase in speed and depreciation of the internet. The territory of the country is divided into 23 provinces. and one city of the central submission. Provinces are divided into districts, term, which in turn consist of communes. The cities of the central submission are divided into the areas, consisting of quarters. Legal system. A combination of the codes adopted at transitional administration of the Union in Cambodia, on which the French legal system, royal decrees, acts with influence of common law and remnants of the communistic theory of the right had an impact. In recent years the role of common law increases. Suffrage. Since 18 years. General elections aren't carried out. The monarch is elected by council of a royal throne. The Prime Minister is appointed the monarch after the vote of confidence received in National Assembly. King Norodom Sihamoni. Legislature. The two-chamber parliament consisting of National Assembly. 125 places. Members of chamber are elected by universal suffrage for a period of 5 years. And the Senate. 62 places. 2 members of the Senate are appointed the monarch, 2 are elected by National Assembly and 58 are elected official electors. Term of office of chamber of 5 years. Judicial authority. The Supreme Judicial Council provided in the Constitution was formed in December 1997. Supreme Court and courts of the lowest instances. Political parties and leaders. People's Party of Cambodia. SRIS. Hun Sen. Party of National Rescue of Cambodia. Siri, Rainsi, Samwonsak. Buddhist Liberal Party. Belieli. Aing Moli. Khmer Civil Party. Kier. Phon Sinpek. Prince Norodom Ranariddh. Rainsi Party. Surup. Former Party of the Khmer Nation. Nokti. Member of the Union and number of her specialized organizations, IMF, World Bank, Asian Development Bank, IA and others. In foreign policy is based on the principles of a neutrality. Cambodia joined the Seaside Treaty of Friendship and Cooperation in the Southeast Asia. Entered ASEAN. Since April 1999. Foreign policy: a relationship with neighboring countries of ASEAN. Brunei, Vietnam, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Myanmar, Singapore, Thailand, Philippines. And also a relationship with the People's Republic of China and Japan is regarded as of paramount importance. Japan also heads the International Committee on Reconstruction of Cambodia and, respectively, is the largest investor of the country. From economically developed countries, the main partners are the USA, France and Australia. In 1992 the USA cancelled embargo on trade with Cambodia. In 1996 the bilateral agreement on commercial relations was signed. Cambodia has diplomatic relations with the Russian Federation. Were established with the USSR in 1956. Long time of the relation between two countries were intense in connection with numerous territorial disputes. Since then both states took a set of steps on improvement of a relationship. In 2005 the contract in addition to the agreement of 1985 on the Cambodian-Vietnamese frontier. Complementary treaty to the Treaty on the Delimitation of State Border of 1985 was signed. According to the contract, Cambodia and Vietnam planned to finish demarcation of overland border until the end of 2008. In a joint statement following the results of a visit, it is claimed that this contract creates legal base for formation of peace and friendly border between two states. In June 2012, Vietnam and Cambodia celebrated demarcation of the last piece of border. Prime Ministers of Vietnam, Nguyen Thanh Dung, and Cambodia, Hun Sen, personally attended this event. Besides, since 1990 years an economic relationship between the countries as both states are participants of ASEAN and organization making Ganges actively develops. For many years the territorial dispute connected with Temple Prikvikia accessory was the main problem of a bilateral relationship between Cambodia and Thailand. In 2008 the temple became the monument of the World Heritage of UNESCO that caused a number of the territorial conflicts between the states. The Cambodian-Thai border conflict 2008, 2009 and 2011. Now it is possible to approach the temple both from Thailand and from Cambodia. Despite a close relationship with China both in economic and in political sense, recently in foreign policy of Cambodia withdrawal from orientation to China and emphasis on improvement of a relationship with the ASEAN countries and also with the Western partners, the USA, Australia and others is observed. It in particular is connected with the fact that China actively supported in due time regime of the Khmer Rouge. Nevertheless, China continues to invest actively in economy of Cambodia and to allocate funds for financial support to Cambodia. Cambodia maintains rather good relations with the DDR. In Pyongyang there is an embassy of Cambodia, and in Phnom Penh embassy of the DDR. A relationship between two states was very good in connection with friendship between the former leader of the DDR Kim Lin-oi's son and the former king of Cambodia Norodom Sihanouk. The government of Cambodia expressed condolences to the DDR after Kim Jong-il's death. Also in the capital of Cambodia there is a restaurant of North Korean cuisine. The economy of Cambodia is based on production of clothes and on tourism. Cambodia received the guaranteed quota in export of clothes to the USA. More than 350,000 workers are engaged in the sphere of production of clothes. In export of the country the clothes give 70% of cost. About 80% of the population, as of 2012, the main crop are engaged in agriculture, rice, corn, maize, haricot and sweet potato, hulls, cassavas, commercial crops. A cotton, tobacco, peanut, a sugar palm tree also grow up. Breed cattle, pigs, various bird. Besides clothes, Cambodia exports footwear, rice, bicycles, ornamental and gemstones. $15.8 billion in 2017. The main partners in export. In 2017, the USA 19%, Germany 11%, Great Britain 8.2%, Japan 8%, France 6.5%. Cambodia imports textile raw materials, fabrics and semi-finished products to 30% of import cost. Gold up to 18%. Oil products, cigarettes, building materials, machines, the equipment and electronics, medicines. $12 billion in 2017. The main partners in import. In 2017, China 40%, Singapore 25%, Hong Kong -7.6%. Poverty level -16.5%. 2016. Unemployment -0.3%. 2017. In Cambodia there is no state minimum wage, but she is in the clothing and shoe industry. Since January 1, 2020 the minimum wage in the clothing and shoe industry makes $190. Besides the minimum monthly salary, workers will also receive side benefits, including $10 a month for work without compensatory leaves and $7 for transport, rent of housing and food. Foreigners have no right to own the earth. For possession of the earth it is allowed to register firm which not less than 51% of the capital belongs to the Khmer. These measures substantially limit inflow of investments into small-scale agriculture. In May 2009 the Russian operator Beeline began provision of services of mobile communication in Cambodia. In April 2015 the Vietnamese company Viettel redeemed business of Beeline in Cambodia. In 2018 the Chinese company of retail trade Suning expressed the intention to invest not less than $2 billion in creation of the first special economic zone in Cambodia in the province Kampong. The importance of the fact. Cambodia after the end of civil war began to attract a large number of foreign tourists. The main attraction of the country, the Angkor Wat devoted to Hindu god Vishnu near the city of Siem Reap, in the center of the country. The complex is considered the biggest cult construction in the world. Also there are places for beach rest in the south, near the city of Sihanoukville. Annually the country is visited by more than 4 million tourists. Cambodia is attractive to tourists by the quiet and benevolent nature of the main population, Khmers, very low prices, climate, exotic cuisine. Some also consider Cambodia one of the centers of sex tourism. Tourist infrastructure isn't so developed as in the neighboring Thailand, but nevertheless is recognized as quite satisfactory, especially Phnom Penh, Siem Reap and Sihanoukville, the largest sea resort of the country. In the territory of Cambodia 23 national parks are also located. It isn't recommended to deviate from any tourist routes and the inhabited places to travelers because of a large number of the mines which remain since civil war. Other dangers: crime, infectious diseases, snakes are estimated in guides as insignificant. During civil war transport infrastructure of Cambodia was strongly destroyed, however now, by means of foreign investments and the equipment, Cambodia carries out reconstruction of the main highways. Since 2006 the condition of highways significantly improved, and the majority of the main roads have a hard coating now. In Cambodia there are 2 single-line railway lines with a track in 1 meter and with a total length of 612 km. One of lines connects Phnom Penh to Sihanoukville. It is constructed in the 1968 years. Another Phnom Penh with Battambang and Sisapkan. It is constructed in the 1930th years. The site between Siskfon and Poipet, on the Thai border, was sorted during Civil War. Till 2009 trains still went once a week between Phnom Penh and Battambang, however now the message is stopped. The government concluded the agreement with the private companies on reconstruction of a railway system under which by 2011 it was planned to open railway communication between Phnom Penh and Sihanoukville, and by 2013, between Phnom Penh, Battambang and Sisupkon. Besides, completion of the railroad from Sisupkon to the Thai border is planned. Further construction of the new railroad connecting Phnom Penh to Vietnam is planned. Waterways of the message long since played a huge role in Cambodia. The Mekong River tunnels have numerous inflows, and the lip tunnels have forms the water transport system with a total length of ways of 3.70 km all the year round for vessels with the draft of 0.6 m and 282 more km for vessels with draft in 1.8 m. The main seaport of the country, Sihanoukville. Phnom Penh, which is at confluence Mekong, Bassac and Tonle Sap, the only river port capable to accept vessels with the displacement of 800 tons during a rainy season and 500 tons during a dry season. In the country there are 4 commercial airports, 3 of them the international airport in Phnom Penh, former Pakantong. The international airport in Siem Reap, who is the largest airport in Cambodia, and in Sihanoukville Act now. Since December 14, 2011. One more airport is in Battambang, however regular flights in him aren't made. In Cambodia there are 2 operating airlines, Cambodia Angkor Air and Tonle Sap Airlines. The Ministry of Culture and Fine Arts is responsible for cultural development in the country. The culture of Cambodia has strong influence Indian regarding language, art and other elements. The direction Buddhism Theravada, which came to these lands in the first centuries of our era and widely here extended, was the important factor forming culture also. Besides actually Khmer, the culture of the country includes as well culture more than 20 various ethnic groups living mainly in mountainous and hilly areas in the northeast of the country. The Khmer traditional music, as well as dances, goes back to times of the ancient Khmer Empire and bears noticeable influence of the Indian music. In ancient drawings, images of the dances executed in honor of monarchs, such as the dance Apsara, and the musicians accompanying dancers remained. From national forms of music are known Chapi and Ant. The first of them is popular among the senior generation and is most often executed by one person on the Cambodian guitar. Chapi, which in intervals between playing music recites texts. Lyrics are, as a rule, devoted to moral or religious subject. Traditional musical instruments of Cambodians, drums of different types, igong, glockenspiels and other percussions, and also wind instruments from a tree, similarity of flutes and pipes. Music in a genre and is executed solo or the duet of the man and the woman, and often has comic character, with wide use of impromptus. The genre Ka, literally, wedding music, represents a set of traditional music and songs for maintenance of various ceremonies of a traditional Khmer wedding which lasts many days. In clubs of Cambodia, popular music is executed with use of the Western musical instruments or combinations of traditional Cambodian and Western tools. Truners did Sun Sisimap and Roksari Satkia acting in the 1968 were the 1978 years classical representatives of pop music of Cambodia. During stay in power of the Khmer Rouge, many classical and popular singers 60 were killed or sent the 70th years in the camp, and many records of music of that period were lost or destroyed. In the 1988 years Ku Sarak came, the Cambodian refugee who lodged in the USA. And other Cambodian emigrants made the popular songs stylized under traditional Cambodian music. In 1980 and 1990 the popularity of music also grew in style and characteristic of Northern Khmer Zen in modern arrangement. Australian hip-hop The Astronomy Class group recorded several songs performed by the singer Kak Chanti, the Ni Cambodian. Is a part of the rock group Den Fever, Los Angeles. The Cambodian vocalist acts. The genre of this group is classified as ethnic music and combines traditional Cambodian music with the Western rock music. The Cambodian dance is usually divided into three groups: classical dances, national dances, and ballroom dances. Classical dances were initially executed only for representatives of the royal court as entertainment, have also ceremonial value. Despite some influences of the next cultures, classical Khmer dance, quite unique art form. Performers of such statements are skillfully dressed, performed by movements, gestures, and the dancers' poses are of particular importance. Execution has slow, measured character. The music accompanying such representations include xylophones, glockenspiels, wooden wind instruments, various drums and gongs. National dances differ from classical in usually faster rhythm, the smaller importance of gestures and movements, and less decorative clothes of performers. National dances and features of their execution differ from the region to the region and are various at different ethnic groups of the country. National dances are closely connected with fairy tales and other works of local folklore. History of the fine arts of Cambodia goes to depth of centuries to ancient crafts. The Khmer art reached the peak during Angkor's period. Traditional art and craft includes weaving, production of products from silver and gold, a carving on a stone, production of the varnished products, pottery, monumental painting, art of production of kites, etc. Its day period in power, the Khmer Rouge connected with persecutions on artists and other representatives of art, and their quite frequent physical elimination became serious blow to art. Some improvements in this area connected with support of the government and non-governmental organizations, and also with attraction to the country of tourists, are lately observed. Numerous inscriptions on stones, walls and columns testify to Khmer antiquity. After inscriptions on stones gain the distribution which is written down on palm sheets, texts and comments of Buddhist texts of Tipitaki. The large number is stored in monasteries through the whole country also today. The Khmer epic poem Reemkar is based on the Indian epos Ramayana and has traditional dancing statement. In Cambodia, various forms of oral creativity were widely adopted. Later development was gained by court literature, so the King Angduong, 1841-1860, is known not only as the governor, but also as the classic of literature thanks to writing of the novel Kakipayam, which has important cultural value and today. The classical story of tragic love is Tumtiv, widely adopted at least since the middle of the 19th century and having the oral, literary and dancing forms. Tumtivik became widely known in the West after the translation of the literary version of this story written by the monk by the name of Preet Bottom Kara of Som into English-American George Chigas in 1915. The monk Som admits to some of the best Khmer classics. As well as in other countries of Southeast Asia, a basis of food of Cambodians is rice. In view of dense river network and existence of such large reservoirs as Mekong and the Lake Tonle Sap, important place in Cambodian cuisine are traditionally taken by fish. Also paste from fermented fish, which in essence represents a way of long storage of a product, is traditional. Prakak serves as the most widespread seasoning to food. It is often just used with rice. Besides, traditional ingredients include various tropical fruit, fish, oyster and soy sauces, a curry, a tamarind, ginger, coconut milk, black pepper, etc. The widespread lunch dish of Cambodians represents rice noodles, soup and pork broth with onions and garlic. In comparison with the next Thai and Vietnamese cuisine, Cambodian it is quite little known and has no wide circulation in the world. The state broadcasting company, Television National du Cambodge, includes 1 TV channel and 12 radio stations. Cambodia is one of the most mined countries of the world. In 3 decades of war and the civil conflict in the territory of this country remained several millions men are scattered. Warring parties the Khmer Rouge on the one hand, both troops of Vietnam and allied to him Kampuchean troops on the other hand widely used both old stocks of mines and new, as, for example, from China, Bulgaria, the Dider, Czechoslovakia, Thailand. The most known models, the Soviet PN-2, the Bulgarian PS-1, the Chinese T-72 and T-58, the American samples and their copies. M-79, MD-82B. Since 1979 more than 57,000 Cambodians lost extremities. According to Landmine Museum for 2010, near Siem Reap in Cambodia still there are from 3 to 6 million active men. Also far. Write comments. Read comments. Interesting people will tell interesting stories. All of good mood and good luck.